There's a quiet kind of poetry hidden in the way morning light touches brick. In the heart of London, where streets hum with the rhythm of centuries, a single house stands, neither shouting for attention nor fading into the background. It feels considered, as though every inch has been thought through with affection, restraint, and memory. This isn't just a home, it's a living sketch, an ongoing conversation between architecture and the life it shelters. This is the home of Edward Latham, a London-based architect known for his intuitive approach to modern design. For over 2 decades, his work has balanced the raw and the refined, the historical and the new. But here, behind this weathered brick facade in Clerkenwell, lies his most personal project yet. A space that doesn't just carry his design philosophy, but his entire life's rhythm. Edward calls it a home built from fragments of memory. He shares this narrow Georgian townhouse with his partner Anna, a ceramic artist. Together, they've transformed what was once a neglected shell into an evolving reflection of their creative partnership. One built not on grandeur, but on subtlety, warmth, and a deep respect for time. Edward first found the house in 2012. It was one of those spontaneous moments when the city seems to whisper directly to you. Hidden down a cobbled lane, the building was almost invisible behind overgrown ivy and layers of dust. Windows were cracked, floorboards sagged, and the roof had surrendered to rain. Most people saw decay. Edward saw potential, a dialogue waiting to be resumed. The house had a kind of melancholy beauty, he recalls. It felt as though it had been waiting for someone to listen. For years, Edward had worked on sleek, high-budget projects. Clean lines, bold glass, pristine finishes. But something in him craved imperfection, the texture of age. He wanted a space that told stories, not just showcased precision. So he bought the house, determined not to erase its past but to translate it. The first months were spent in quiet observation, tracing the curve of a stair worn by footsteps long gone, studying how daylight shifted across uneven walls, listening to the creaks that punctuated the silence. It wasn't about imposing design, he says. It was about revealing what was already there. The renovation unfolded slowly, over nearly 4 years. There was no rush, no strict plan pinned to a wall. Instead, the process was organic, almost meditative. The exterior, still wrapped in its original London brick, remains largely untouched. Only subtle adjustments, repointed mortar, restored cornices, hint at modern care. The transformation truly begins once you step inside. The interior is a study in contrast. Old beams intersect with sculptural steel. Rough plaster meets planes of pale oak. Vintage fixtures coexist with minimal interventions. The palette is quiet. Chalk whites, warm grays, and the occasional blush of exposed brick. At the center of the home lies the heart of Edward's design philosophy, the void. A vertical opening that slices through all 3 floors, drawing light deep into the building's core. From above, a large skylight filters London's ever-changing skies. Soft, diffused mornings, silvery afternoons, and dusky, amber-toned evenings. It was important to let the house breathe again, Edward says. Old London homes were built for intimacy, not openness. I wanted to introduce light without losing that sense of closeness. Every piece of furniture carries intention. The dining table, crafted from reclaimed oak once used in a dockyard, anchors the ground floor kitchen. Ceramic vessels by Anna sit like small constellations on floating shelves, their handmade textures echoing the building's imperfections. Even the imperfections have been celebrated rather than concealed. Hairline cracks, exposed brick patches, and uneven plaster are left visible, each marking the passage of time. We stopped trying to make it perfect, Anna adds. It's more beautiful this way, alive, unfinished. Upstairs, the study doubles as Edward's retreat. Here, the walls are lined with sketches and models, fragments of past projects. A large window overlooks the narrow street below, a vantage point that frames the city like a living film. I love that this house feels deeply connected to its neighborhood, Edward says. When I work here, I hear footsteps, the sound of children after school, church bells in the distance. It reminds me that architecture doesn't exist in isolation. It belongs to life. What makes this home remarkable isn't just the design, it's the feeling it evokes. It embodies a rare humility. There's no grand statement, no attempt to dominate the street or to impress visitors. Instead, it invites you to pause, to feel time stretching quietly between old and new. For Edward, the project became less about architecture and more about emotion, about belonging. "We live in a city that's constantly erasing itself," he says. "Buildings rise, facades change, but something gets lost in the process, the sense of continuity. I wanted this house to resist that, to remember." He often describes his design approach here as editing rather than creating. The walls, floors, and textures act like layers of memory, where each addition respects what came before. Even the light feels deliberate, gentle, never harsh. In the mornings, it falls across the kitchen tiles like watercolor. By dusk, it pools softly beneath the arch of a window, turning corners into quiet compositions. There's a sense of stillness that's rare in London, a calm born from restraint. The soundscape of the home tells its own story. The low hum of traffic outside, the faint crackle of the fire, the whisper of rain against the glass roof. In many ways, this project mirrors Edward's own evolution as an architect. Early in his career, he was fascinated by clarity, by order and precision. But this house taught him the beauty of imperfection, the poetry of the unfinished. Design isn't always about adding, he reflects. Sometimes it's about knowing when to stop. The building itself seems to breathe differently now. Where once it stood forgotten, it now feels awake, not transformed into something else, but restored to itself. And yet there's something more intangible here, an emotional resonance. It's in the way Anna's ceramics catch the afternoon light, in the patina of a door handle polished by years of touch, in the scent of oak warmed by sunlight. It's a house that has learned to remember, to hold on to its history while embracing the present. As dusk falls and the last golden light fades across the walls, Edward closes his sketchbook and looks around his home, a place not designed for perfection, but for presence. In a city built on constant reinvention, this quiet house stands as a reminder that beauty at its deepest is not in what is new, but in what endures.